In this and the following lectures, we're going to be talking about risk management. We're going to be looking at what risk is, how we manage it, the different risk responses we can have, risk mitigation, and the risk management lifecycle. And risk management really is such an integral part of what we do as cybersecurity professionals. And to start this off right, let's look at some definitions and some equations. So first off, what is risk? And if you look at the slide here, you can see I have risk equals threat times vulnerability, and sometimes to that we can add impact. So a threat is a potential harmful incident. That can be a tsunami, an earthquake, a virus. It's something that can damage us. It can be a hack. And a vulnerability is a weakness that can allow that threat to do harm. That could be us having our data center in a tsunami flood area. If we're in an area that is prone to earthquakes, we could not have built it up to code, or it could just be us not applying the patches. To oversimplify it, if we have the $10,000 laying on our kitchen table and we don't lock the front door, then that is a vulnerability. Now, if someone can look in through your window and they want to steal your money, well, they are then the threat. And you can see the equation up here has a couple of different versions. And I do that because the exam does. Risk equals threat times vulnerability, but the threat and vulnerability can also sometimes be called likelihood. So if you on the exam see likelihood, you know that is threat times vulnerability. And then the second equation I mentioned, we sometimes add impacts. And we do that to give us a more full picture. And we get that fuller picture, let's say we have two data centers, and they're right next to each other. They are built exactly the same, but data center A has people in it and data center B does not. If we have an earthquake and both data centers are destroyed, the impact on the data center with the people in it is going to be much worse. And then to finish out the definitions, let's talk about total risk and residual risk. So the total risk is our threat times vulnerability or the likelihood, and then the asset value. How much is this asset worth? And then once we have done our mitigation, we have implemented something, we have locked the door, then we have residual risk. That is the total risk minus the countermeasures. Now, in the example of the $10,000 on the table and the door not being locked, the asset value here would be $10,000. The threat would be the person seeing the money, the vulnerability would be the door being open. Now, if we put a lock on that door and we make it so good they can't get through the door, there is zero vulnerability. That means that the countermeasures are the same as the total risk. There is no residual risk. I hope that makes sense. And if it doesn't, don't worry. We are going to be covering this more in depth throughout these lectures. So hopefully by the end, you'll be clear on all the terms and how they work together. And really, our job is to minimize the vulnerability to a point where we're okay with it. But since this is a simple math equation, if there's no vulnerability, then the threat does not matter. If there's no threat, but we do have a vulnerability, there's still no risk. Both need to be present for it to be an issue. And we are going to spend a little more time on risk management because it is such an integral part of what we do. It's both important for your job, it's also very important on the certification. And just like most of IT and cybersecurity, risk management is an iterative process. That means we are never done. Whenever we're done with one iteration, we start over on the next one. And as I mentioned, iteration really just means repetition of a process. We go through the full cycle and then we start over again. And the reason that we're never done is that both our environment changes and the threat landscape is fluid. It is always evolving. We might add new systems, new servers, change our network infrastructure, add new applications, change the old ones. So for everything that we have, we go through the risk management lifecycle. And the one that we're going to look at today has 4 phases. And you may see others that have 3 or 4 or 5 phases. It doesn't really matter. The exam will not ask you, what is phase 5 of risk management? You're going to get a question saying, in this scenario, we have done this, we have done that. What do we do next? What do we do first? Regardless of which type of risk management process they use, if you understand this one, you'll be able to answer the question. So it really doesn't matter if it's phase 3 or 4. You understand the flow, you're able to answer the question. And with that, we are done with this lecture. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one.